Hi class. Today we're going to talk about categorizing evidence, and we're going to do this through the practice of categorizing images, because by the end of today's lesson in our module you should be able to describe the differences between the four social studies categories which we're going to learn about, which are social, economic, geographic, and political. And you're going to do this by a little practice. But to start, there are a series of images that's in a document that is on our class website that I want you to open up, and I want you to look at the various pictures, and I want you to put them into any categories of your choosing. Whatever you think is important for categorization, in fact. Once you are done doing that, I want you to answer the following questions on the discussion. Think of this as like our warm-up. So what categories did you create? Is there one right way to categorize the images? How might grouping things in categories help make conclusions about the past? And just be prepared to share, because you're going to do this through the discussion that is also under lesson 1 of our module sequence. So I'd like you to actually pause the video right now to do this first. Okay, now that you've had an opportunity to look through the various images from the Middle Ages, I want you to now take a look at the How to Learn document that is also on our class website for lesson 1, called Categorizing Evidence. And essentially this gives you a framework for how we are going to categorize evidence in our social studies class. And you're going to do this using 4 main social studies categories: political, economic, social, and geographic. So political, remember, it's about gaining and seeking and maintaining power, and anything that is related to power and influence and control. And you're going to look for examples that demonstrate the political category for social studies. Economic, which is the production, distribution, and consumption of goods and services. So you're going to be looking at anything that's related to economic activity. So this could be people working, this could be ways in which people make a living, or modifications even that are made that help people make a living. That would all fall under economics or economic. Next is social. So the social category includes relationships such as family, friends, and teams. This also includes religion and culture, which we'll talk quite a bit about this year. And you want to think about activities that might be taking place, so evidence that represents activities that take place in families or societies, aspects of cultures. Culture is so broad, it includes everything from language to traditions and heritage. So you want to think about all of this, and if you find examples that would fall within the social studies, the social category of our social studies categories. And then finally, geographic, which are the physical features and modifications that are made to the environment. So these are the things that are probably some of the easiest to identify. So you're thinking about those human and physical characteristics of geography, like mountains, rivers, lakes, but you're also thinking about our human characteristics of cities. Culture also falls in there too, dams, modifications that are made to the environment. It's important to note that sometimes there's an overlap. So the next thing I actually want you to do is go back to those images that you categorized the first time, and I want you to recategorize your images based on the 4 categories I just mentioned that's on the document listed or within our lesson module. So pause the video and do that now. When you recategorized your images, you should have come up with a number of images that fall within the category. So for example, the image that's labeled numbers 12, 22, 28, 29 all fall in political. So we're kind of checking our work. Economic were images 11, 18, 25, 26, and 30. Social was 5, 16, 17, 20, 32, and 33. And then geographic was 4, 10, 15, 18, 27, 36. Now, the great thing about social studies is that there's not necessarily a concrete answer to everything. If you can justify your answer and you can provide reasonable evidence to support your answer, you can certainly make a case. So this includes how the images were recategorized. It's very important to note that some people may interpret the images that were shared with you in various ways. So if you didn't exactly get the images the way that I have them categorized here, it's possible that you could justify them falling into a different category, and that's okay too. Let's do a little bit more practice. So take a moment and look at image A. So image A represents what looks like a power struggle, the possibility that there was some fighting. Remember, we're talking about the Middle Ages, so we could be talking about knights. So image A would ideally fall within our political category. Looking at image B, let's think about where would image B fall between geographic, political, social, and economic. So image B is represented as what a attack on a city would have looked like in the 1200s. And so I know this may not be to scale to what we would have imagined, but this is of course an artist rendering. This could have been geographic. You could also possibly make an argument for political, because an attack on the city means that one is trying to seize, capture, or attack the city. Which would be also a play for power. See, there's definitely overlap as long as you can justify your answer. Take a moment to look at C. So image C is really interesting because it is a woman in like a tower, I think almost Rapunzel in her long hair. But in this case, this is a woman who is attempting to pull up her someone she is very affectionate towards in the 1300s. And so this would very much be social. So this is about those relationships. So in this case, we're very literally talking about the relationship between the woman and, her love. Take a moment to look at image D. Quite the foreboding structure. So image D is actually representative of an area that was involved in the Battle of Hastings that was conquered by it was conquered by a Norman army that was led by William the Conqueror, I apologize. And it's the castle. So this one is definitely political and geographic. So again, being able to justify political because it's again about it's a place where a battle took place. These battles again are about power and control, expansion of power, and then geographic because this is a modification to the environment. This is a structure because it was a castle that people would have lived in during this time period. By people, we mean, of course, the nobility would have lived in during this time period. Take a moment to look at image E. So image E is really great because this is representative of a jousting tournament. Fun fact, jousting is the official state sport of Maryland. But this would have been, remember, this is when the knights would have competed to show off their bravery and their skills. And these are, of course, knights that are fighting on horseback. And this would have been social because the tournament was very much a social gathering for the people living in these various kingdoms. Take a moment to look at image E or image F, which is a little difficult to see. So image F shows the city of Venice, Venice, Italy, and you'll notice there's lots of water all around, which is indicative of Venice today, or representative of Venice today, and the boats that are going around it. It was a great trading city during this time period in the Middle Ages. And this would have been economic, could have also been geographic if you think about the modifications made to the environment, even just the water that would be naturally occurring there, represented there. But this is economic because this was such a great center of trade, and it was thriving during the Middle Ages. So economic because of the economic activity. So now that we've gotten into a bit about how to categorize evidence, what the four social studies categories are, I want you to complete the exit card, and this is going to be a digital exit card. So if you look at lesson module 1, there is a form, a link for the form where you need to complete the following. So 1, categorizing evidence helps me learn about the past because. You need to complete that statement. And then finally, the images in the political, economic, social, geographic category show that in the Middle Ages blank. So you're going to finish that statement as well. You need to simply choose one. So whichever images you would like to talk about, you're going to explain what that tells you about the Middle Ages just from looking at those recategorized images into those 4 social studies categories. I hope you've enjoyed today's lesson about categorizing evidence, and you've really gotten some practice with how to put information into categories. This will be very helpful for our subsequent lessons as we get into talking about primary and secondary sources and the importance of analyzing content, which is going to lead up to our culminating activity where you are going to basically determine if some information you've been provided is accurate, and you're going to do this through some analysis. So if you have any questions, as always, feel free to reach out. Don't forget, I hope that you've all engaged and enjoyed the discussion that was provided for this, and you have a great day.